Now, those are all things you can do for yourself, but there certainly is a certain amount of luck or good fortune that's involved in whatever may happen to you in terms of what we call being in the right place at the right time. Now, that just doesn't happen. You can put yourself in the right place as much as possible, and hopefully it will be the right time one of those times. So what you need to do is find out, where is that thing that you want to do, where is it happening? Where is the rehearsal? Where is the audition? Where is the thing where it's happening? And you need to be there. You need to be there as much as possible. If you go to, say, New York City, and you're going to be auditioning and you're at one of the big studios, are you there regularly? Are you part of the scene? Does everybody know who you are? And not just once or twice or three times, but like I said, over a course of a couple of years. Then all of a sudden, you will be there at the right time when somebody needs a dancer, and they're going to remember you, know you, and that's how you're going to be asked to do something. Okay? So being there at the right time is also something that you can make happen by always putting in the certain amount of effort to be where things are happening. I do want to talk quickly about one thing, which I was at a big directors conference at the Pasadena Playhouse many years ago, and one big producer who was from Disney, did many of the big films, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, many others, and he was talking about, you need to, what he called, be in the room. You need to be in the room. Now, what does that mean? I need to be in the room. Well, somewhere something is happening. Somewhere there is the rehearsal where they're working on the big show. Somewhere is the big audition where they're casting the next big show. So in that room at that time, that's where it's happening. Okay, it's not happening in a hallway. It's not happening out on the street outside. It's not happening down in the coffee shop. It's happening in that room. So his advice is, be in the room. Get in that room somehow. Well, that's kind of easy to say, you'll just be there. But I remember he said, even if you have to be somebody who's sweeping up the floor, be in the room, but be present. And then after that, somebody at some point is going to say something to you, and you can offer your opinion, and you offer an educated opinion, and all of a sudden you are part of things. Okay? So in other words, if you want to be a certain type of dancer that happens in a certain place, be there. Be around people, get yourself known, and be educated so that when you get that one chance to offer your opinion, bam, it's going to opinion that's going to grab some people's ideas, and realize, wow, this person knows what they're talking about. I need to know this person. That's a new person. Another way that you can do this, suppose you want to be in a dance company. Okay, you're following a certain company. They're doing performances. There are reviews in the paper. There's a certain repertoire that they are performing. Okay, go to the concert. Write a letter to the choreographer after, send it care of the dance company, and say something educated, say something about how you noticed certain aspects that touched you and made you think of certain things and gave you certain ideas, and relate that, and then that gets back to the choreographer at some point. They're going to read not a fan letter that says, wow, your work was so great, I love it, I want to be in your dance sometime, but it's something where it's like, wow, this person is talking to me on an educated artistic level. And then when you find out, yes, and this person is an aspiring dancer, wow, next time you go to that audition, they'll remember your name. They'll want to know who you are. So you are making your future, you are being in the room, not by actually being in the room, but with your opinion that you're offering, just through writing a letter, through writing an email, etc. So those are different ways of presenting yourself in a professional level, even though you may not be there yet, because that's your goal. That's where you want to be. Okay? So making your fortune, making your good fortune, and making your luck happen. Um, Along with that, I want to talk about something too, and this is a little bit tough, is you have to prepare to be a different person. You have to prepare to not be who you are. If you're 16 or 17 years old, but your goal is to be a rockette, and that might not happen until you're 23 years old, well, there's a difference between a 16-year-old and a 23-year-old. You need to be that 23-year-old person. You need to be like that 23-year-old person. You need to think like that 23-year-old person. You need to think like a rockette. You need to be that type of person. So you have to realize that even though you may be in your high school dance school, at some point you're going to leave that group of people and move into something different. Whether you want to do as a college, then you go into college, whole new group of people. And then when you graduated college, you're going to leave those people behind and go maybe to a certain city, and that's where you're going to try to establish your dance career. Now you're going to leave those people behind. So as much as you have a group of people around you who are your comfort, my family, right, as we hear so much, you got to realize you're going to leave that family. Okay, hi, it's Bob Boross again. Sorry about that. Looks like we had a little video problem with that last transmission that I did yesterday on the end of part two. So we're going to redo the end from where we had finished where that started. So we were talking about becoming a different person. What you need to think about yourself as you move through your different stages and embracing what's going to be coming next. A lot of times you can be involved, particularly like when you get into college, you have a certain group of people. You feel very comfortable. They're what you call your family. It's a very supportive and warm atmosphere. And that can be almost inhibiting in a way because it feels so good to be there without any stress, without any risk that you're taking in terms of a professional career, that you sort of enjoy being there more than going out to where things are going to be a little bit more trying for you and difficult for you in terms of what your future might be. So you want to be able to be ready and accept the fact that you need to move on. You need to go find something that's different and leave those group of people that you were so tight with and look for a new group of people who will be where your new future is. So that's something to always keep in mind in terms of the different stages of where your dance development will be. Embrace that, know that it's going to happen. Enjoy the times together you have with your family. But once you move on from there, know that there's going to be a new family of people who are going to bring you to that next level of professionalism, which is what you're striving to reach for. Okay, let's move on to the next thing, which is, we'll talk a little bit about this, which is rejection. And I'm sure you've talked about that, you've heard about it, it's something that's bandied back and forth quite a bit. How do you deal with rejection? There's certainly a tremendous amount of rejection in the business. Auditioning many, many times and not being chosen, always thinking, wow, I nailed it. I did exactly what they were asking for. I was a top dancer there. Why wasn't I chosen? You just have to understand that the business has no logic. There's nothing where this is the best, this is the second, this is the third. There are so many subliminal and subjective ideas as to what is being looked for and what is being evaluated, that you definitely can be one of the top dancers there and still not be the one who is chosen. So you have to understand that and not let that be a part of your thinking. You never know what they're looking for. You never know what will make the final decision. You can be moving forward so quickly based on your dancing and other aspects, and in the end, some very, very small thing is what trips you up. I can relate one thing back in my auditioning days. I auditioned for a industrial that was in Monte Carlo, and I think it was for Pepsi. So that was like an amazing, amazing trip. Would have made a lot of money, would have had an amazing time going to Monte Carlo. And went to the audition in the morning for the men, was selected from that, told to come back later in the day after the audition for the females. So I came back later in the day. They had the 4 females that they had chosen, and they stood me and another fellow on the other side of the one female in the center and just looked at us and said, pulled me over and said, I'm sorry, but he looks better next to her than you do. They thought those two looked more like a couple than me and that other female dancer that they had chosen. And so that was it. It wasn't that I couldn't dance, it wasn't that I wasn't qualified as a performer. It was just, well, this person looks better, and that's kind of what we feel. Something as subjective as that, and sort of, you kind of chew on that for a while, but you have to let it go. You have to say, well, that's what they did, and I need to move on to something different, and take that as an idea of, all right, what is my appearance? How do I appear to people? What is it they're looking for at this audition, and how do I bring that forth so I could be a little bit more towards what they're trying to put into their show and not just being something that might be a little bit different. So those are some of the things about rejection that you really need to think about. Another thing you can do, which I found, which I would do in my auditioning career, if possible, if suppose you're cut at an audition, wait. Wait till the audition's at the end. Certainly the choreographer or the team is going to be coming out. excuse me, can I talk to you for 1 second? Don't mean to bother you. I really enjoyed what happened in there. I really wanted to be a part of this. You cut me. Do you remember me? Is there anything you can give me ideas on how I can improve for the future? And I did that with one choreographer. Her name is Graziella Danielle, who's a very famous choreographer, lots of Broadway work. And she was wonderful. She sat there and talked to me probably for 7, 8 minutes and told me, well, this is things you can work on. This is what I was looking for, and really encouraged me. But she knew me from that. And in subsequent auditions and other things, I've interviewed her for different parts of the books that I've written. Now she knows me very well, but it was all based on me taking that risk and chance just to flag that person down for a second and say, how can you help me? How can I be better, because I want to be better at what you're looking for. So that was using rejection in a way that brought my presence to her in a very positive light, much more so than you can do when you're dancing a combination with 6 people and trying to stick out from that 6 people. So that's one way of using the rejection in a positive way and not letting it be something that's going to hold you back or sort of, give you that bad feeling that you might be carrying with you. But you need to let these things slide. You need to let them go off your back because it's part of what the business is. Now, you can look at rejection as a whole and say, all right, what is the pattern of my rejection? What are the reasons I'm being rejected for? And if there is a pattern, if there is something, well, 6 different auditions, they're sort of the same idea, or the same reason. Maybe it's telling you something about you that you don't know yet, or you don't realize, or maybe you're thinking this is what I want so badly, but it's really not in the cards for you. So, you don't want to bang on that door when you hit a mountain and it's in the way. The best thing to do is walk around the mountain and not try to climb the mountain, correct? So you may use those ideas to say, okay, it's not going to happen for me, or it's not going to happen here. It's not going to happen in New York. Maybe in a smaller city. Maybe go to Cincinnati. Maybe go to St. Louis. Maybe go to Austin, Texas. You may want to try things like that and say, there's going to be a little bit different way I'm going to go at my career, because maybe the location is not right. Maybe there's a certain type of competition that you have in terms of the level of people and the number of people. So thinking about rejection as not being something that I'm wrong or I'm bad, but it's weeding out one choice, which is going to point you in the direction of better choices. That's something that you can do. Try to use your rejection in a positive fashion for your future growth, and not something where I'm being told that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy. That is certainly not the case. God knows, you go to an audition, and if they're hiring 5 people, you can find 50 people there who could probably dance it extremely well. Why weren't they chosen? Those small subjective factors, and that's part of it. That's part of the business, and it's part of the whole process of how a cast is put together. And that's in the hands of certain people, and it's up to them to do what they want to do. Okay, so those are a few things about rejection that you need to know about and will help you as you move forward in your career. There is one more thing. It's a very, very big overarching philosophy that I've kind of developed and I've used, I've talked a lot about. It's going to take a little bit of time to explain, so I'm not going to do it right here. We're going to put this into a part 3. So look for that in part 3. And that is about one thing in your life, and using that as the idea that maintains your happiness and your ability to keep moving towards something even though there's a lot of adversity out there, and why it makes it all worthwhile. So look for that in part 3, okay? It's Bob Boross. This is my Jazz and Tap Dance Life, and thanks, and we'll see you soon.